Hey, Tony here. I'm going to show you today waveSharp 3, the free image sharpening software. A quick look at the background enhancement capability on bringing out faint moons that are orbiting Saturn in your images. So let's get started. I've got waveSharp 3 opened, and I've got my Saturn image opened, which is an image resulting from a stack of a video capture a few months ago. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and do some sharpening. And so I've got these sliders here, and I'm going to move these about 3/4 of the way across to about 150. In waveSharp 3, compared with previous versions, the scale here now goes up to 200, meaning a little bit more sharpening capabilities, if you will. And then I'm going to move the second one here to about half of 150. And then the third one, let's move it to about half of that again. You can now see that there's some sharpening has started to take effect. I'm going to open up the zoom window here so we can get a slightly better view of that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is in waveSharp 3 is an estimate filter. This is a really nice capability that I've mentioned in other videos, where waveSharp 3 will do an initial estimate of sharpen filters, so kind of removes a little bit of the guesswork and acts as a starting point. You can still play around with these values here. I'm going to kind of leave it as is for now. The next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and go into, let's see here. Let's go into this disable background tool here. And I'm also going to go into full processing mode. When I click on this disable background tool, you'll notice that I see straight away on the bottom right there is a moon that was captured. It's just so faint, it wasn't brought out in this image. And that's what we're going to try and do today with the background enhancement tool. Now, there are other ways of doing this outside of waveSharp. You can use in Photoshop. You can use select to mask. Same in, I believe, in GIMP and Affinity. But this is just one way of doing it in waveSharp 3. So let's go ahead and turn off disable background. And so the first thing I'll do is I'm going to go into the background enhancement tool. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on active. And also, I'm going to select here the advanced tools capability. The first thing I'll do is, as I create my mask, is I'm going to click on show here so you can see the effect that will take place as I do my enhancement. In waveSharp 3, there's this little icon here that actually you can estimate the mask edge. And this is a really helpful capability. So again, takes away a little bit of the guesswork. And so you can see here, it's coming at a value here of about 5.1-ish. I'm now going to go into the cluster setting, and I'm going to increase the cluster to try and embrace Saturn and its moon. So there's that moon area there. And then I'm going to increase the erode, just to try and isolate that a little bit more. And I just did that in one click, basically. So let's go ahead and leave that as it is. But you'll notice that I've also got these ring edges here, a part of the mask, and I kind of don't really want that. So I'm going to reduce this value here just a little bit more, maybe take it down to about 4.5, a little bit more. There we go. So around there. If I uncheck show now, you can see that we do have the moon is a little bit brighter. Let's go ahead and move the zoom window over there so you can see what it looks like. Now, it's a little bit elongated. My capture conditions weren't that great when I captured Saturn, so there was some movement there of the moons due to the atmospherics. I'm going to try and round out that moon a little bit using the enhancement tool. So the first thing I think I'll do is I'm going to increase Go back into show. I'm going to increase the cluster a little bit to try and get a little bit more of that moon area. So let's leave it to about there. And then let's go ahead and do a bit more erosion of that mask. Maybe take it up to, let's say around 50 and see what happens there. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to now uncheck show. And you can see the moon is starting to kind of round out a little bit. I'm going to do a bit more erosion on that and see if we can get that rounded out a little bit more. That's looking a little better. Now, obviously, what I'm doing here as I play around with this mask, you're essentially almost like creating a synthetic moon. Well, synthetic's the wrong word to use. The moon's still there, but you're kind of playing around with the shape of the moon, leveraging the enhancement tool, background enhancement. Down here in the advanced tools, there's a smoothing function, and I'm going to increase that. All I'm doing is I'm using my mouse wheel and scrolling up. So let's take this up to about 0.8. So you see I'm starting to smooth it and round it out. There's also a peak capability that kind of isolates the peak values, brightness values. So let's take that up a little bit more. And so now I'm really starting to round this out quite a bit. And then maybe what I'll do is I'll go ahead and do a bit more erosion and maybe increase the cluster a little bit more. So you can see now what we've got here is a nicely rounded off moon here. Maybe needs a little bit more work. You can play around with the edge still, maybe increase that a little bit. That might kind of change the shape. It does a little bit. Maybe change some of the other values. One thing you can do is it looks a bit kind of burnt out to me. So you can actually reduce the brightness of the moon as well. And I'll leave the gamma as is. So it's a nice tool to play around with, and definitely encourage you to take a look at waveSharp 3. Some of the other things that I didn't do in this demo, but I'll show you real quick, is the denoise window here. And if I click on these settings here, so this is basically post all layers is something that you would set straight after the sharpening step. But you can also do these other steps as well, which is kind of goes by a layer by layer basis. And then the other thing, while I'm here, I may as well show you just real quick, and I've showed it in other videos as well, is the de-rind tool. So I can go in here and actually remove this kind of rind area here. I can click on here, the arc, and then I can select all the layers. And then I can go ahead and basically attempt to reduce that rind effect. So in this case, I can go ahead. If I put in 0 here and then tab, waveSharp 3 actually does an initial estimate for me on the edge, which is kind of nice. And then also maybe I'll play around with the feather real quick. So I've gone off base here a little bit. I'm showing you a different tool here, but basically you've got your smoothing function, and if I toggle on and off on this de-rind, you can see we've got a nice effect. But I'll let you play around with that. That's a different conversation. So hopefully on the background enhancement tool, you can see what it can do. It's got some nice capabilities. Please subscribe to this channel, and I'll put the link into the waveSharp 3 download as well. Thank you very much.